Welcome to another Telltale Books video. I'm Greg, and I'm here to celebrate the birth date of a lesser known but should be better known science fiction writer, Margaret St. Clair. This video is premiering on YouTube on the date of her birthday, which will be February 17th, 2024, and her birthday was February 17th, 1911. She died on November 22nd, 1995. Born in Hutchinson, Kansas. That's about all I know about Margaret St. Clair at this time. I will look up more. But I do know her very first published story was titled The Perfectionist. Now, I call her a science fiction writer because she appeared in lots of the science fiction magazines, but her first story was not science fiction. It was mystery, and it was published in Mystery Book Magazine in May 1946. It's just a short story. I was able to find the short story in this. It's an old paperback. This story is not currently in print in anything that I can find, but it is in this paperback, which was plentiful used out on the internet and in good condition. I got a really nice copy, and it's also in one of the Alfred Hitchcock anthologies, but I like this one because I absolutely love the front cover illustration, which is for the birds, which is also in here. Daphne du Maurier's story, The Birds, is in this book. There's a lot of other good things too. There's a couple of stories by Jack Finney. There's a story by John Collier. Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes, one of my very favorites. There's a short story by Roald Dahl called Taste. There's one by Lord Dunsany. And there's a story called Charles by Shirley Jackson. And, of course, The Perfectionist by Margaret St. Clair. So Margaret St. Clair is the one we're celebrating here. And what is The Perfectionist about? In The Perfectionist, you have a man who's kind of down on his luck. His aunt invites him to come and stay with her, and she'll support him while he gets back on his feet. So he comes, and he does a lot of odd jobs around the house to help his aunt out, including the fact that his aunt loves to paint and draw. But she was doing nothing but paintings and drawings of this apple. And she was getting bored of the apple. And when she first started drawing the apple, she got upset because the apple would decay. It would only last so long. So she got another apple, and someone said, well, dip it in wax, and that'll make it last longer. So she did that, and so then she was doing paintings and drawings of the apple for as long as that apple would last, but she eventually did get tired of it and wanted to move on. So then she wants to draw a tree. But the tree's outside, the wind is blowing it, it's always moving around, it won't stay still. So this guy, he says, well, we'll cut the tree, bring it in the house, we'll put it in with, his aunt suggests you can use aspirin and sugar as a preservative, and that'll keep the tree for a lot longer. So then she's happy, the tree's not moving around, it stays in place, and she can spend time doing her drawings and paintings, of course, until she gets tired of that. And from there she moves on. He had bought her some goldfish just as a pet, and they were in the house. And when she got tired of the tree, she decided she wanted to try and draw the goldfish. But, of course, goldfish never stay still. They're always in motion. So that's totally frustrating her until she figures out she can put them in the refrigerator and turn it all the way to the coldest setting, and it'll turn to ice, and then the goldfish will be suspended in the water and not moving anymore. And she can take her time. She just has to pull it out and wipe the condensation off so she can see them, and she can paint her goldfish all she wants. It keeps accelerating. The next was a dog. And the story ends when she asked to do paintings of her nephew. He moves quickly, gets the hell out of there. You know at the very beginning where the story is going. You know it's going to end with her wanting to kill and stuff up human beings so that she can draw and paint from a human being. And I can tell you, I'm an artist. I've been in a lot of life drawing classes. Life drawing models do a really excellent job of staying still as long as humanly possible. But, and there's a trick I was taught by my teachers, that the pose that the model will strike, no matter how they try to keep absolutely still, they will shift over time. It's what they call that is the model will lean into the pose over time. And so when you start drawing, you want to plan for that. You want to plan for the fact that they're going to lean into the pose with time. And so then you exaggerate that part, and then as they lean in, your drawing becomes correct. It's a little tricky to do that. You don't always get it right, but it is frustrating, the fact that you don't have something that can stay absolutely still the way a rock can stay still. Who wants to draw rocks for their entire career? Not me. So it is an issue in art of how do you get around that fact that things are always changing. With things like trees outside, I find it's best to just be kind of impressionistic. Don't try to get really nitpicky, detailed on that tree, because it is blowing around. It is moving around. Leaves are going to be falling off of it, even in the summer. Birds are going to land on the branch you're trying to draw and obscure what you're trying to see. You just have to deal with those frustrations when you're trying to do those kinds of works of art. But this ant finds a different way around it. And the story, like I say, you see it coming a mile away from like page 2. What's gonna happen? Somebody's gonna get killed for her art. But it reminds me a lot of an Alfred Hitchcock story where something like The Trouble with Harry, where Harry is dead at the beginning, and so then the whole thing is just the comedic adventures of these people trying to, who are all innocent, but they don't want to be blamed, so they keep trying to cover it up, and it gets hilarious. This story is kind of fun that way, that she just keeps digging herself deeper and deeper. So it's a fun story. It's a very enjoyable story with really, really good characters. Just a short story, though, so the characters don't get super deep. And I wouldn't call it a top tale, but it is really good. And it is an earlier female genre writer, someone who did write some really excellent stories. So worth looking it up, worth finding this. Stories of Suspense, which, like I say, reading that table of contents, it's like, how can you collect all of the greatest short suspense works in a single volume? This is it. There's a couple others you could add in there, like It's a Good Life or something like that, but for the most part, this is just an amazing little book. It's got some great stories in it. So I'm going to keep going with Margaret St. Clair. The Perfectionist was her first published story. Her second published story is titled Rocket to Limbo, which was published in Fantastic Adventures in November 1946. So we're getting into some science fiction from her with the next one. Have you read any Margaret St. Clair? Have you read The Perfectionist? Leave comments of your thoughts on those subjects in the comment section for everyone to enjoy. And like the video, subscribe to my channel, and come on back for more. I'm going to be here with Margaret St. Clair and many others.